Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn how to draft a double-breasted short collar jacket. So here I have the measurements I'm going to be needing and I'm going to display them on the screen. We are going to start with the back pattern. So after that, now you are going to go ahead and draw your shoulder line, your chest line, your waistline, hip line, and the dress length. Because this is going to be a dress, that's why I have a dress length. If yours is going to be a jacket, a short jacket or a crop jacket, you decide on the length. So I'm going to make the line visible so that you can see better. Divide your shoulder measurement by 2. Mark it on the shoulder line and on the chest line. Draw out the shoulder slope like so. I'm going to make it more visible with my marker pen. And you're going to connect the points together like so. As you can see. Now on the chest line, we are going to divide the bust circumference by 4. If whatever your measurement is, you can simply divide it on your tape rule, just like you see me doing. Whatever you get, you measure and mark on the chest line. Add your ease allowance of about ½ inch or 1 inch. Then you add your sewing allowance. Then you are going to connect the point like so. For the neck measurement, I'm using 3.5 inches by 1 inch. You can decide on the measurement you want to use. After that, you're going to connect with the cuff part of your ruler like so to give you a round neckline. The next thing is to plot the waist dart. Well, you're going to start by dividing your nipple to nipple measurement into 2, and you're going to mark whatever you have from the center back forward this way, from the chest line to the dress length, and you're going to connect it to a straight line. After connecting the nipple to nipple line, we are going to plot our waist dart. So you come to the waistline and take ½ inch on both sides of this line. You can take 0.75 depending on measurement you're comfortable with. Okay, so you connect back to the chest line this way and you connect back to the hip line, just like you see me doing. After this, you are going to take the body circumference measurement. You come to the waistline here. Divide your waist measurement by 4, just like we did on the chest line. We divide the bust by 4. We had the ease allowance and the sewing allowance. Same thing applies to the waist and the hip line. And do not forget that you have a dart. So you are going to replace whatever measurement you use for the dart. You're going to replace it. So on the waistline, I replaced the 1 inch dart that I took earlier. Okay, if you do not replace it, it's going to reduce your measurement. So on the hip line, you're going to divide the hip circumference by 4. You had your ease allowance between 0.5 to 1 inch, depending on how free you want it to be. Then you're going to add your sewing allowance. You're going to connect from the chest line to the waist. So when you want to connect your hip line, just like you see me placing my ruler, that's how you're going to connect it, because that part is not straight. So you can either connect the original measurement first before connecting the sewing allowance, or you just do everything at once. So whatever you have on the hip line, you can take it straight down to the dress length. Okay, if you want the hem of the jacket to just be straight like that. Okay, you can also make it pencil a little bit. You're going to be reducing about 1 or 2 inches from the measurement you measure on the hip line. I'm going to make the line more visible so that we'll understand what I'm trying to say. So here I already had the sewing allowance, and what I'm doing is drawing out the lines. So from the hip line, I'm going to connect straight down to the jacket length like so. So you can either leave it straight like this, or you just create a pencil shape, a slight slant. Okay, so from the hip line, you just go in. You can go in by 1 or 1.5 inches, and then you're going to connect back to the hip line, just like you see me doing. Okay, so here I took out about 1 inch. That means I'm taking out 4 inches altogether, both front and the back. Okay, so I'm going to mark and I'm going to connect. So either ways, anything you decide to do, it's fine. So guys, that's how it's going to look like. I hope you see this green line that I have here. Okay, so you can either use any of the 2 lines depending on your preference, or maybe what the person wants or what you want to recreate. Okay, so I'm going to connect this original line too. So the next thing we're going to do now is to work on the back tightening. Just like we used to do for our zipper to avoid bulging, we're going to do the same thing on this jacket. Remember that our jacket is not going to have zip at the back. The opening is going to be at the front. So on the waistline, you go in by ½ an inch or 0.75. You can go as far as 1 inch depending on the person's body. Okay, then you're going to connect back to the neckline this way, and you connect back to the hip line. So this part is going to be cut off, all right, just to create that effect we used to have at our center back. All right, so the next thing is to come to this shoulder slope line. Okay, find the midpoint, mark it, and connect back to the chest line exactly on the nipple to nipple line, just like you see me doing. Okay, you connect it like so. This is because we're going to be cutting off through that line to separate the back pattern. So this is the center back and this is the side back, so you're going to label accordingly. This dart will be cut off. Then for this side, I'm going to be cutting 2. Also for the center back, I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces. Okay, then this my sewing allowance, I added 1 inch sewing allowance. At neckline and the armhole, you're going to add ½ inch sewing allowance. You can add it directly on your pattern or you add it on the fabric. Okay, so for the armhole, I'm going to add it now, and when I want to transfer to the fabric, I'm going to be adding for the neckline. Now after you are done with this, you're going to take the measurement of your back neckline. Whatever you measure there, you write it down. You can either measure before you cut out your pattern, or you measure after cutting out your pattern. Because we are going to need the measurement for the front pattern. That will be all for the back. The only thing we are going to do now is to cut it out. Okay, and I'm going to start from the neckline, and I want us to pay attention to the way I'm going to be cutting it out. So after cutting off the excesses, this is what it's going to look like. Now we're going to remeasure and reconfirm the neckline. I guess I still have the same measurement. Okay, I have about 3.5 inches. I'm going to cut off the darts through the nipple to nipple line that I drew earlier. So you're going to be removing the darts. Just pay close attention to what I'm doing. Okay, it's quite straightforward. We just want to remove the darts on the waist. That's what we're trying to do. And we're also trying to divide the back pattern into 2. All right, so after cutting out the waist dart, you're going to cut out the back tightening as well, just like you see me doing. Now this is what your back pattern will look like. Okay, we have the center back and the side back. That's just it. Okay, now we're going to draft the front, and I want you to pay attention. Before the shoulder line, I have an allowance of about 5 inches, and before the center front line, I have allowance of about 6 inches. This is because it is a double-breasted jacket. The placket is wider than that of the regular jacket that we used to have 1 inch placket. Allowance at the top before the shoulder line is meant for the collar, while the allowance before the center front line is meant for the placket and the lapel itself. Now on the shoulder, I'm going to take the shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll take my shoulder slope 1 inch. So then from the shoulder slope on the chest line, I'm going to connect the armhole line so that I'll be able to draw my armhole curve. On the chest line, you divide your bust circumference by 4. You add your ease allowance, then you add your sewing allowance. So it can be 1 inch, 1 inch. So that's like 2 inches plus your original measurement. But for the front, we are going to need our bust point line and the under bust line. The under bust line is actually optional, but it's just going to be a guide for us for the plackets. Okay, I'm going to explain that later. We need the bust point line for the bust that I want to draft. Then you are going to measure down to the under bust line. Although this is optional, it can be a guide for you in determining your break point. Okay, so but it's optional. That's why I'm using a pencil to indicate that line. So after that, you're going to measure down to your hip line. You draw your hip line and your jacket length. Okay, so I already have my jacket length. Then I have 1 inch hem allowance. So after which you are done with this, we're going to create the armhole curve like we create for a basic bodice. I already have a video on how to draft, cut and sew a notch collar jacket. I'm going to link the video in the description. Kindly check it out. So now on the waistline, you're going to divide your waist circumference by 4. You had your ease allowance, then you had your sewing allowance. Same thing you did on the bust point line, the same thing you are going to do on the hip line, and whatever you do at the back for the hem of the jacket is what you're going to do at the front. I hope we get that explanation. So then after this, I connected all the points together. And the next thing is to take your nipple to nipple measurement or your bust span. So your nipple to nipple divided by 2, you start the marking from the bust point line down to the jacket length. Then I'm going to connect with a straight line like so. After that, we are going to take the waist dart at 0.5 inches on both sides of the bust span line. Okay, then you're going to connect like so. Don't forget to replace the waist dart you took. Okay, after that, we are going to plot our bust dart. So you come down from your bust line by 1.5 or 2 inches. Then you connect back to the bust point. This depends on your front length and your back length measurement. Whatever difference you have between the two is what you are going to use for the bust dart. The next thing now is to draw the break points. So the reason why I draw the under bust line is just to explain to us. So you want your break point to stop on the chest line, on the bust point line, on the under bust line, or on the waistline. This one, the person requested for it to cover up a little bit. For this one, I'm going to stop in between the chest line and the bust point line. For the placket, I'm going to be using 5 inches. So from the center front line, I measure 5 inches outward. Okay, and I'm going to connect straight down. Do not forget the neckline. This is optional, but I'm going to measure and mark 3 inches by 3 inches. No, sorry, 3.5 inches by 3 inches. This is totally optional. So from this neck width, I'm going to connect back to this 5 inches here. So that is my break point. Okay, your break point has to get into your plackets. You can check our previous tutorial on how to draft a jacket so that you're going to understand better. I'm going to drop the link to the videos in the description. I have multiple videos on that. After that, you're going to extend the line on the allowance at the top. This will serve as the collar area. Go ahead and measure again. Whatever you measure, you're going to mark on this slant line here. That is going to be for your back neckline. All right, so from that point, you're going to draw a slant line like so. Then on this line, you're going to measure the wideness of your collar, how wide you want the collar to be. Then from that point, you connect back to your break points on the plackets, just like you see me doing. You can place your curve anyhow, and if you want to be creative with your lapel, you can go ahead and do whatever you feel like. But ordinarily, a short collar, you're just going to connect with a slight curve from your placket, your break point, back to your collar like so. So on this hand, I realized that it's not slant enough, so I measured 0.25 outward and I reconnect. After that, you come to this shoulder line and divide it into two. Find the midpoint, then connect back to the post point with the line like so. And as you can see, the back armhole and the front armhole is almost like on the same line. So for this one, I'm going to add about 0.5 sewing allowance, just like I had for the back armhole as well. This is just to save my time when I'm transferring to the fabric. Okay, so with this, we are done with that. And here is where you're going to have all of your buttons. So on this one, I'm going to have 12 buttons altogether. You can have as many as possible, depending on the length of your jacket. After all of that, you go ahead and label your pattern accordingly in a way that you're going to understand, just like you see me doing. I'll label the side front, the center front, the lapel, the allowance, and so on like that. So watch the way I'm going to be cutting. So you're going to cut out from the center front. Unlike that of a notch collar, you are not separating the lapel and the collar here. You're cutting the two together. It's just the side front that will be on its own. So just pay attention to the way I'm cutting it out. That is why I didn't make it too fast, so that we can see clearly. So guys, in the description, I'm going to be dropping the link to the previous jacket that I've drafted before, the notch collar jacket, the cutting and sewing, and other interesting tutorials that you might find helpful. Kindly check it out, and do not forget to share this video. Thank you. Then you're going to close up the bust out like so. So once you close it, the side front and the side back is going to align, because with that we have taken out the difference between the two. Okay, so this is how it's going to look like. And as for this down part, you can simply fold it this way. You can cut it this way so that you get that pencil effect, or just create a slight shape at the hem. It is totally optional, it depends on you. And as for the lapel area, you're going to fold it like this. It's going to be facing the other side. This is how it's going to look like at the end of the day. Okay, so guys, that'll be all for this. If you want to be creative about it, you can just go ahead and do and undo with your pattern. So guys, that'll be all for this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. Do not forget to like this video. Please share this video so that we can reach as many people as possible that might find it interesting, and we should, and for us to get a wider audience. So these are all my patterns. I already labeled it, and so you're going to use this pattern to cut out your fabric and your lining, and do and undo with it. But for this tutorial, we're just going to be drafting the pattern. And so if you find this tutorial helpful, kindly like, share, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Drop your thoughts in the comment section if there's any tutorial you want me to make a video on, if there's any question or anything at all. Thank you very much once again. Till we meet again in my next one. Bye bye and take care.